most Republicans and a few Democrats joined in. This is something Josh and I have been working on. We've talked about this for a few months now. I don't know. I mean, I feel like if Josh was here, I'd like to take a little bit of credit for some of the noise we've been making in Harrisburg about it. We introduced legislation on this months ago, and after we did so, I know local media as well as, Pittsburgh media picked up on it, and we did some interviews and had some discussions about it. And we explained ultimately that this was a federal mandate. This goes back to the 1970s and the Clean Air Act, and that was something that put our area, our region, into what is called a non-attainment zone. So people ask questions like, why does our county have to pay, but Lawrence and Butler, why did they not have to pay? So this non-attainment zone was created around, these non-attainment zones within the state and within other states were created around industrial areas with large population densities, areas that, if you think about the 1970s and thinking about factories and the cars from back then and the smog, and it was different. It was very different with emissions. And they created these for quote-unquote clean air, just to try to limit the amount of particulate in the air. So they did this back then, and Beaver County was roped into this Allegheny region, this Pittsburgh, Beaver County, Allegheny region, and because of our proximity to Pittsburgh, but also because of our industrial base at the time. So we were put into this zone, and our legislation was trying to make some noise, and we let our federal representatives know as well, like, hey, we want out of this. It's unnecessary. Cars have emissions systems on them. Those systems not only meet all the federal clean air standards, they exceed them regularly. These emission systems are checked during inspection. There is no reason to run an emissions test after you know that these emission systems are working properly, because to be even sold on the market, they have to have these standards met. So it's redundancy. It obviously became a revenue source for the state and for mechanics. And I hear some of the mechanics say, well, we've had to pay a lot for these machines in order to test, and I get it. I totally understand that. But at the end of the day, everybody's paying for it, and it's unnecessary. It's completely unnecessary cost. It needs to go. So whether or not this legislation that the Senate passed, will the House Democrat majority run this bill? My guess is probably not, considering what I'm seeing, running through the state house on issues like this. Could it be part of a bigger budget deal? I don't know. I've only been there for a little over a year. I don't know what chips we're going to play, but I really don't think they're interested because there are a lot of other things on the table right now, and unfortunately, this is an issue that is a no-brainer. It's easy. It should be done, and we should figure out a way to get ourselves out of this. And if we did it as Pennsylvania, I'll add this to end on this. If we did this as Pennsylvania, there's a question and discussion about what does that look like, because this is a federal mandate. How do we come into alignment with the regulatory agencies like the EPA and stuff at the federal level? The reason I think it needs to be done now is because there's no better time than when the Trump administration is in, because they are rolling back these not common sense issues, things that are in play right now. These regulations that make no sense whatsoever, that have been on the books, that have prevented us from doing all kinds of really important things we need to do for energy independence, and the overreach on the environmental stuff that they're rolling back on. And I think there's no better time to do that than now.
In my understanding, it's indiscriminate. Butler County does not have what we have, and
right.
There's just as much. There's more traffic in Cranberry-Butler County than there is in Beaver County. So
yeah, our population has lessened, right? Their population has grown. So yeah, it's part of that.
I just heard from State Representative Kail. He says he's in a meeting. He's going to try to, if he gets a chance, try to break free and give us a call.
Okay.
But we are joined by Roman Kozak. So phone lines open, 724-843-1888. An article in the Pittsburgh Tribune Review today I found of interest. Allegheny County making a push for paid parental leave. And I didn't know that was something counties are able to do. I guess no county in Pennsylvania has that currently, but the Allegheny County Board of Health is looking to make it a law that employers would have to provide 18 weeks of paid parental leave for all employees, not just Allegheny County employees, but if you're a business in Allegheny County. I guess there are places like Washington, D.C. that have that. Has this reached the state legislature yet? Or
So, yeah, I mean, you want to find a way to push as many small businesses out of your region. Go ahead and do something like that. Require a heavy financial mandate on small businesses or on businesses. Now, some of these mandates, I don't know what that particular legislation would say or that requirement, whether or not it's constitutional, but some they'll say, well, if you have this many employees or more, or you have this much revenue or more. It sounds nice. I get it. Like, people need to leave their jobs at times for certain reasons and want to have that job when they come back. I understand the reasoning behind that, but someone has to pay for it. And these are people that are employing, small restaurants, you think like a local salon suddenly has to pay like paid leave. Like, you're paying someone to not work for 18 weeks. That's a huge, heavy burden, and you've got to replace that person to cost. And so the larger corporations and things like that, it's like 60% of them have some sort of leave, particularly for maternal leave or other packages, sick leave that you can bundle up to do that. So really, this is something that's going to hit the smaller businesses hard. There's this sort of boogeyman. Well, the big businesses, they're going to be the ones that are going to, they have to do this sort of thing. They make so much money, they should be able to pay people to not work. It's like, well, okay, in situations, most of them already have ways to do that and negotiate that. So has this gotten to the state level? There are people pushing for it. There is legislation out there that is trying to enforce paid family leave at the state level. But again, I think of all the people that I know, the small businesses, mid-sized businesses, which, 400 employees or more, that's the vast majority of businesses in our economy. And suddenly to take on this is millions and millions of dollars of paying people that aren't going to be working for you. And as a business, someone who's a business owner, having, that as part of your, it'll raise costs on everybody else because you have to transfer that cost to other people. If you're selling, services or items, you're going to have to increase your prices significantly to cover that. And then you're also going to have to find new employees to cover that person temporarily, which, by the way, most people, especially in small businesses, restaurant businesses, I'm talking to a restaurant owner here locally the other day, they're having a really difficult time finding people that can stay at the job, finding people that can pass a drug test. So there's a lot more nuance to this. I think we in politics, one of the things I've learned over the past year in the state legislature, there's a lot of things we can make sound really good, really fluffy, really nice, but we don't look at the unintended consequences and what they could actually do. It's actually going to hurt more people than help in a lot of ways. So I don't know how Allegheny County thinks that they can pull something. They got to figure out a better way to deal with their tax structure already. Their property tax increase was insane a couple years ago. It's out of control, and it's going to drive people out of the region, a region that is already losing so much population because of crazy policy.
We have a phone call. We'll take. Good morning. You're on the Beaver County Radio Morning Show with Roman Kozak.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi there.
I have a question about the Brady's Run Ice Arena. Is that run by the county or is it run by a private entity?
That's the county, I believe. Yeah, I think
Yes.
everything there is run by the county.
I just saw on the news that they had to shut it down because of a repair. I think it was a pump or something that regulated the ice. But I talked to Tony, it's been 2 or 3 years ago, about solar panels to help with the cost of running that. I can imagine what your electric bill is for that, but I don't know. I haven't seen any. I go down there quite often to the recycle and to walk down there on the trail, but I haven't seen anything. What's your thought on that?
It's the first I've heard of. I didn't know that there was an issue down there. Is that something that's recent, as of today or yesterday? I mean, the county would, if they had to shut it down, there's probably something they're not allowed to allow people in, or there's a fix that they need. As far as electricity costs go, I don't know what their bill is or how they deal with that or how they manage that. I'm not familiar with the inside workings of the budgeting for that.
Paul, I'll tell you what, when we have our county commissioners in, ask the commissioners, and that'll be coming up in a couple of weeks, that would definitely be a matter they would, I'm sure, have good thoughts on.
Yeah, you know what? I can call back and ask. Yeah, I talked to Tony here a couple of years ago about that, and I don't know if he looked into that or not. But, Scott, I'll call back when the commissioners are in.
Okay, we'll get you an answer, I promise.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, you take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Another caller on the line. Hello, you're talking with State Rep Roman Kozak.
Good morning, Scott. Good morning, Mr. Kozak.
Good morning.
Hi there, Georgie.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Good. I had two questions I'd like to ask you, Roman.
Yes.
Number one, why do we only have one photo license center in Beaver County? It's clear on Chippewa. That's the first question.
The first question, what was the beginning of that? I'm sorry. You said, why is it in Chippewa?
Yeah, the photo license where you get your picture for your driver's license.
Yes.
Okay, why do we only have one in the whole area of Beaver County?
That's a good question. My assumption on that, based off of the way other agencies are broken up, is they look for a certain population size, and they try to regionally place them within certain densities of population. So if there is, a certain 100,000s of people here, like how long does it take for each individual to get to a driver's license center? Is there one accessible within a certain amount of time? If there's a lot more population in an area, like we think about Allegheny County, they're going to have multiples. But the more rural you get, the less population you get around the state. For these types of agencies, they usually have less access or less locations.
The problem I see there, okay, is a parking area. It's hard to get a parking spot, number one, because that's in that shop center area. And the next problem is you got people there that's the younger generation that is getting, they're taking a driver's test. So you have to wait a long period of time. And to get into the parking lot is another question as well. It's so hard to get in or park someplace where it's going to be safe, your car, where you're going to be safe to get in and out of. And, I wish they'd just have a photo center somewhere locally where the seniors could go to without having all this hassle.
I agree with you on the parking there and the egress there. That is in my mind, a poorly designed parking lot in Chippewa where the Aldi is, and wow.
Oh yeah, there's when I'm driving in, especially coming from 51, there's people coming from McDonald's and Aldi, and it's just like no yields, and people are just cruising. Like, I agree that parking lot. It's I've been to other driver's license centers, and they all seem to place themselves in incredibly busy parking lots. They're usually like in a strip of some sort, and there's
what
people.
What happened to the one in Rochester? Why did they close that one up?
They wanted to. My understanding at the time was they wanted to move everything into one newer center, updated center. The one in Rochester was small and dated, and they just decided to make a bigger one. And
they could have probably used that as a photo center right there. That would save a lot of problems,
Yeah.
Okay, next question I have. Now, I drive an automobile under 5,000 miles a year, okay, for emissions.
Yeah.
And I got to pay the same price as you pay to get your car emission, and you drive over 5,000 miles a year. Why am I compelled to pay the same fee? It's $30-some, okay, and for a 5,000 mile, under a 5,000 mile, car that just a grocery getter, basically.
Yeah.
Doctors, yeah, like my wife said. So, is there some way of maybe alleviating some of that cost for the seniors? If you can't get rid of it, at least do that for the seniors.
Yeah. No, that's a good thought. There's a lot of other things we do, the state of Pennsylvania, to provide discounts for seniors, registration, especially veterans as well.
Right. I get that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. I get that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something I can look into and have a conversation about with somebody to see if there's anything that's ever been offered on something like that, like a discount for those sorts of things. But yeah, like if I'm driving back and forth from Harrisburg a lot, so I'm putting a lot more miles on my vehicle and have to pay the same as someone who drives, who doesn't get the exemptions, but, over 5,000 miles or 5,000 or 6,000 miles, my wife's car doesn't get a lot of mileage on it. So
when I did the emissions testing, I was one of the first ones in Beaver County that had a license to do it. And when they come out with this exemption for under 5,000 miles, when they charged I think it was like $8 or $10 at the time. And when that made it in effect back then. And the other automobiles with a higher mileage, they pay like $15 or $20. Okay.
yeah,
And I just can't understand why I got to pay this amount being a senior, the same rate as you're paying for your car that you're driving over 5,000 miles. I think that's unfair. I really do.
yeah. No, I agree. I think the whole program's stupid, but I agree with you 100% that, if there's other ways
Sure is stupid.
we can chip away at it while we're trying to figure out this other stuff. Again, remember too, anything like that, discounts, stuff like that, if we could offer legislation on that, if it doesn't already exist, or if there's not an issue within that program federally and being able to do that, we have to get it through a legislature of, a lot of people. And so, man, I'll tell you, there's so many common sense things that I wish we could get done that should be so simple, Georgie, and something like this. And you're in Harrisburg and you look around and you see some of the things that they're putting up for votes, and it's just, what are we wasting our time for in studies on invertebrates and
I've seen some of the action up there because we were up there a few years back, and was for a Second Amendment rally we had up there. And the only people come out to visit us guys and gun owners and that was Republicans. None of the Democrats ever come out to talk to us guys. So I'm telling you folks out there listening, please vote Republican. I don't give a darn if you're a Democrat or not. Get people that's like Mr. Roman Kozak here that do appreciate our areas and are good people that are governing our state of Pennsylvania. So think about that, folks. When it comes to election time, know who the heck you're voting for. Vote for somebody for you, not for the benefit of themselves. I appreciate your time, sir.
Thanks, George. I appreciate that.
Thanks for calling, Georgie. Take care.
Bye-bye now.
We're going to go to a break. We'll have more with Rappin' with the Reps.
Tune in for Spotlight on Seniors every Sunday at 11 a.m. Host Valerie McKelvey will highlight what's important to the seniors of Beaver County. Spotlight on Seniors is brought to you by the Beaver County Office on Aging and BeaverCountyRadio.com.
Beaver County Transit Authority connects you to where you want to be. The doctor's office or well-deserved shopping spree will take you to wherever you please. Safe, no fuss, leave the driving to us. Hop on, adventures coming your way. Beaver County Transit Authority, BCTA. Ride the bus.
BCTA Connect, your ride to out-of-county destinations, is live now. You can book a trip as soon as today to destinations in Cranberry, Wexford, Warrendale, Moon, Sewickley, Leetsdale, and more with the BCTA Connect mobile app. For medical, employment, or any other trip need, BCTA connects you to out-of-county stops. Download the free app today.
Beaver County Transit Authority, BCTA. Ride the bus.
Get ready, Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Pirates take on their Keystone State rivals, the Philadelphia Phillies, Saturday, May 16th at 4:05 p.m. Make sure to head down to the North Shore early for a pregame block party on Federal Street, presented by Mike's Beer Bar. You don't want to miss this classic Saturday matchup between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Philadelphia Phillies at PNC Park. Get your tickets and learn more at pirates.com.
A lot has changed since 1885. That's when my great-grandfather, William Andrew Hartzell, opened the doors to our family-owned and operated funeral home. This is William F. Rick Murphy from the William Murphy Funeral Home Incorporated in Rochester. Together with my son, Brian C. Murphy, we represent a business that is now flourishing into its 5th generation. Throughout that time, we've had the pleasure of experiencing many of local memories that have made Rochester and the surrounding area so great. I'll bet many of you can easily recall the H.C. Fry Glassworks, Barnett's Bootery, or even Kaufman's Department Store with its massive double-decker parking lot.
To put things in perspective, my family was already serving others at their time of need before the automobile had even been invented and the aforementioned businesses started and ended. Our commitment to serve our community with dignity and compassion has allowed the William Murphy Funeral Home, Inc. to preserve a business legacy that spans nearly 140 years, and we're still here. To contact us, visit our website at William Murphy Funeral Home, Inc. or call 724-775-0309.
When it comes to heating and air conditioning in Beaver County, you have lots of choices. But there's one name local homeowners have trusted for generations: Homer 9 & Sons. For 4 generations, families across Beaver County and beyond have relied on Homer 9 for dependable comfort and honest service. With that kind of experience, it's easy to see why so many customers keep coming back again and again. Now's the perfect time to call before the summer heat arrives. For a limited time, get your AC tune-up for just $79. Homer 9 will clean your system, test it, inspect it, and make sure everything is running properly before the first hot day hits. And if you need a new system, you can choose from trusted brands like Lennox and more. Call 1-800-834-NINE or visit homer9.com. Homer 9 & Sons Heating and Cooling. Quality home comfort since 1943.
The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
They're headed toward the start-finish line. We're about to get this race underway.
Heads to the first state.
Trouble up the 52 of Friesen goes sideways.
For a weekend at Dover Motor Speedway.
The hurricane is blowing, and it is going for the checkered flag. Here he comes, the middle of turns 3 and 4, headed for home.
It's the EcoSave 200.
If you own a company or a small business, you might have considered advertising on radio. It's smart because radio is still the most far-reaching media outlet today. WBVP and WMBA can get you results. Get more information at beavercountyradio.com.
Start your day with breakfast at McDonald's. How about a sausage egg McMuffin meal with hash browns and coffee for only $5? Whether you're on your way to work or on your way to school, McDonald's has the right breakfast for you. McDonald's breakfast. I'm loving it.
If you own a company or a small business, you might have considered advertising on radio. It's smart because radio is still the most far-reaching media outlet today. WBVP and WMBA can get you results. Get more information at beavercountyradio.com.
Beaver County Radio's news source. 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and beavercountyradio.com. Here's Noah Haswell.
Good morning. On this Thursday, May 14th of 2026, we will have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after we take this look at news. The Beaver County Humane Society is asking for the public's help as authorities continue investigating a suspected illegal dogfighting operation. Officials said 23 dogs were found tied outside in Aliquippa during a winter storm and were taken to the shelter on January 25th. Shelter officials said they are concerned the animals are showing signs of deterioration caused by kennel stress. Humane Society police officer Wendy Stafford said authorities are still trying to locate Ronald Dean Kidder, 48, and Terry Ramon DeCarlos, 48, who face charges connected to the investigation. Anyone with information about the men's whereabouts is asked to call 911. Pennsylvania State Police in Newcastle reported that a 54-year-old Newcastle woman was charged following a 2-vehicle crash Tuesday in Lawrence County. According to police, Leslie Kerr was turning left from East Maitland Lane onto Lakewood Neshannock Falls Road in Hickory Township at about 1:32 p.m. when her vehicle struck another car. Police said the other vehicle was driven by John Pauline, 91, of Newcastle, who was stopped at a stop sign at the time of the crash. No injuries were reported. Summer weather means it's time for ice cream, and local shops are serving up everything from classic vanilla and chocolate to creative seasonal flavors. A short list of shops to visit to satisfy your sweet tooth this summer can be found on our website at beavercountyradio.com. PennDOT and the Pennsylvania Department of Education announced Wednesday that schools can now sign up for a new program aimed at introducing students to careers in the heavy highway industry. PennDOT's Heavy Highway Industry Career Day program will bring industry presenters and career information to participating schools beginning this fall. The heavy highway industry includes jobs such as construction inspector, mechanic, laborer, electrician, stonemason, welder, painter, cost estimator, and surveyor. Pennsylvania middle schools, high schools, and career and technical centers can register to host a career day by sending an email to the email address on our website at beavercountyradio.com.
See, if I were a student, I'd want to learn how to drive that super plow they have now. The plows, the highways, and the turnpike. Have you seen that thing? Gigantic.
Yeah, I did a story on it. Yeah.
That would be cool.
And as electricity costs are expected to rise this summer, Democratic lawmakers in the Pennsylvania House are advancing a package of bills to lower energy costs, with many residents struggling to keep up with rising prices. Here's more from Danielle Smith.
Lawmakers say 1 in 5 households in the state have difficulty paying monthly utility bills. Representative Elizabeth Fiedler, who chairs the House Energy Committee, says the 6-bill package is designed to ease financial pressure on families. She points out these affordability bills would help people feel less financially strained.
Of course, for most working class and middle class and poor people, affordability is not a new concept. It's not a new idea, and it's not a new thing they're struggling with. For a long time, many people have been struggling. They're working 1, 2, 3 jobs.
Fiedler's bill, House Bill 2223, has already passed unanimously. It would require utility companies to upgrade existing transmission lines before building new infrastructure, a move supporters say could prevent higher costs for customers. This story was produced with original reporting from Anna Gustafson for the Pennsylvania Independent. Danielle Smith reporting.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
Today it'll be mostly cloudy and breezy with a chance of showers. We'll reach highs in the mid-50s and drop down to lows of 42. Tomorrow look for increasing clouds with highs of 70 and lows of 51. And Saturday it'll be partly sunny with a chance of rain and thunderstorms. Expect highs of 81 and lows of 64. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
On this Thursday, May 14th of 2026, at 34 minutes after 9, we've got a temperature of 47 degrees, and it's overcast out there currently in Beaver County. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM, AM 1230 WBVP, 95.7 FM, and 1460 AM WMBA. Also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
It is Rappin' with the Reps. We are streaming live on Facebook. Got one comment from a gentleman named Jim saying, "Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for support of school choice."
Thank you, Jim.
Got to know that. We're joined in studio by State Rep Roman Kozak. State Rep Josh Kail has a meeting. He's going to try to hopefully break free and give us a real quick call, and we'll keep you posted on that. But Roman, one thing everyone's talking about, gas prices. Now there's been talk about this Pennsylvania state tax, maybe doing something with that. What are your insights there?
Well, one of the highest in the nation, 58 cents, 58.5 cents. As California is ahead of us and maybe one other state. California, yeah, it's a whole other story. But that's the last thing we want to do is be in the same conversation as California. Republicans have offered a package of bills that includes, one of the bills includes a gas tax holiday. That during this Iranian conflict here in the Middle East, that we could definitely lessen the burden on individuals as we head into the summer. It's an important thing, I think, to do this and do this quickly. But it's not just that. We have bills, a range of us have bills where I know Josh is in on it, I'm in on it, and others have in on it to give sales tax holidays on all kinds of items, especially essentials. We got to do something about that. One of the highest taxes in the country on gas. And Pennsylvania, that's so rich hearing that little news segment there from one of the Democrat leaders on energy talk about affordability. It's hilarious, actually, because the very reason we are in this position that we're in right now on energy costs across the board. Now, there's one-time things, obviously, like conflicts in the Middle East, which are temporary, that are going to cause energy costs like gasoline to increase. But the baseload energy issue that we have that has been causing issues for a long time, and it goes back to the Obama years, but it's a top-down Democrat policies on green energy, or quote-unquote green energy. And to hear suddenly the Democrats talk about affordability because of election stuff is just really funny, because they have been pushing and propagandizing information on energy that has been flat-out false for a very long time, cutting off our supply of energy. This is, again, really simple economics, which I wish every person that served in government understood: supply and demand. When the supply goes down and the demand goes up, costs go through the roof because there's less access to material, to goods and services, to items. And gasoline is part of that, but we're talking about natural gas, coal, nuclear. We're talking about all of the things that power everything that you and I do every single day. And to have all of these green energy, extreme green energy mandates with percentages that have to be met for wind and solar, to push a marketplace in a direction that, one, it's not prepared for, two, the technology is not there, and three, when the demand for electricity is skyrocketing because of technology, and also on the same side of those folks who are pushing for more and more green energy, pushing things like electric vehicles and so forth, which it's fine. If the marketplace wants it, that's great. But to push those things, guess what? Electric comes from somewhere. You have to generate energy, and you have to have sustainable energy sources. And we now are in a situation where we, in the PJM grid, in our region, a bunch of very blue states, because they joined into the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, which finally we pride ourselves out of in this last budget as part of the budget negotiation package. They're trying to reinstitute here where they say this is a package of bills in Pennsylvania that's going to lower energy costs by doing what? Making it more difficult to get energy. As Josh actually recently said on a thing we did together in Harrisburg, he says their energy policy is summed up like this: pay more, get less. Pay more, get less. And the fact that they're now using the buzzword affordability is just, it's incredibly aggravating, because they are doing everything they possibly can to make it less affordable because of less access to resources that we need. Well, we could go on about this for a really long time. It's really frustrating.
Well, it'd be prudent then to be investing now in boosting the electrical grid, and then we would have less of a dependence on oil and less of a situation like we have here. That's the part I don't understand, why we're not boosting electrical grid now. It seems like the time to do it, but it seems like the federal administration has moved back from that.
Well, I mean, so no, the energy. So at the federal level, they're rolling back significant regulatory things that were crushing things like refining our own energy. So we could talk about the different types of oil. There's crude and so forth, and how we refine those things. And a lot of the reasons we haven't been able to become truly fully energy independent is because of crushing regulations from the EPA, particularly under the Obama administration and onward, that rolled back the ability to create refineries. So refining that oil to turn it into gasoline that we could utilize here on shore, we'd had to offshore that to enemies not friendly countries in order to bring that stuff in. We haven't been able to refine it here. So that's one thing. The energy grid itself, there's different grids throughout the country, but boosting that would mean providing more baseload power. Baseload power, like you can update transmission lines. We have to talk about things like that. There's infrastructure needs, which are, by the way, happening in various places. But you also have to understand that, like, the people out there need to understand that the baseload energy, that you could boost the energy grid all you want as far as upgrades for infrastructure. But you have to have the power source. You have to have the fuel that goes into the tank to power it. Thankfully, President Trump worked with Governor Shapiro to save 2 coal-fired power plants. And so that's really important, because those were set to go offline. We've lost a lot of those. You know what? I think we should have more coal. I think we should have more natural gas. I think we should have more nuclear. You can do these things the right way. And I think people have this bad perception of, coal burning many years ago and the smog. Yeah, of course. But there's the technology now. I mean, they have technology that captures every part of that, captures the CO2 from it, captures the particulate, and actually recycles that and uses it for other purposes now. So it's a battle on this issue, and we have some of the richest natural resources in the entire world in this region. There's absolutely no reason why we should be paying the energy costs we are for our home, but we are, because we're outsourcing all of our energy to states like Maryland and Virginia, who are cutting all of their production and saying, look at us, we're green now. But guess where they're getting their energy from? They're importing it from us, taking our natural gas, shipping it down there. We're piping it down there. They're using it, and it's causing our prices to go up. It's incredibly frustrating, and we need to get serious about this energy policy. But unfortunately, we have a governor that's not.
There's a meeting this Saturday in Shippingport talking about the proposal for a data center there. And I know that's a representative of Kail's district, but there does seem to be more public awareness and a bit of a pushback on these data centers from the state legislature. What safeguards are you guys looking at, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the data center stuff is really fascinating. I have phone calls with constituents pretty regularly just talking about it. And one of the things that I've learned, especially since COVID, is being on social media and seeing, a random article posted or someone going on there and posting something that has some really sort of like flashy headline that scares people. Mm-hmm. It freaks people out. This will use all of this, and this. This will destroy your communities. There's one person that had a really bad experience in a certain part of the country, and it begins to go viral. So it's like, what is the truth on this issue? And I think we have to all be really careful with propaganda on this topic, both for it and against it. I'm noticing, staff of mine and others have noticed in these community groups where I'm talking about like local community municipal groups, people will go in and post certain things about data centers, whether pro or con. And you look at the people who are posting, they don't live in the area. They're not from the region. And if they are, they're not associated with the town whatsoever. They're not even from the county. And you're trying to figure out, okay, start asking questions. Who's paying these people? Why are they here? What are they trying to do? Are they trying to cause issues? Are they trying to prevent issues? Are they trying to trick people into thinking certain things? And you see these graphics online that are created by artificial intelligence. You can clearly see which use data centers. And people on Facebook, by the way, and their phones are using data centers. Yeah. Every time you swipe your credit card, you use a data center. They process 31,000 swipes per second in these data centers for credit cards. Natural gas industry uses it. The hospitals, they all use the data centers for all their information systems. We could talk about water, we could talk about gas. And so I'm trying to learn about this. What are the safeguards we can put in place? One of the things that we're doing at the state level that we passed bipartisanly was a model ordinance for local municipalities. Because a lot of local municipalities, let's face it, people that are elected there part-time, they work full-time jobs, they're just there volunteering for their community. They need some guidance or maybe some help, a framework for, okay, if we're going to put an ordinance in our municipality for these things, where should we start? So something like that is very good. It's a very good thing. We're talking about, and I agree, as much as I disagree with Governor Shapiro, I agree with him 100% on this when he said at his budget address that these data centers need to come in and they need to bring their own power. Amen. Awesome. Don't come in and try to just, mooch off of everybody else's. You've got to be able to build the capacity and prove that you can build that capacity to be an engine to these. And places like Virginia, Loudoun County, Virginia, they do that. They're the data center capital of the world. And one of the positives about that I've learned is that Loudoun County every year has dropped their property taxes every single year for, I think, at least 10 years now. And it's driving down people's property taxes because of the amount of taxes these data centers are paying. So these things are coming to our region. And, the private land sales, people, they're zoned for industrial purposes. If a municipality wants to have that in their area, we love giving local control. I think that's most important. People know what's best for their communities. But we do got to make sure we cooperate, state, local, federal, on how we deal with these, because it's a national security issue as well. And we're in a race against China on this issue. It's a big deal. We've got to do this smartly.
Okay, we have one more break to get in. We'll be back. If you have a question for State Representative Roman Kozak, give us a call, 724-843-1888. The new-look Pittsburgh Pirates are ready to make a playoff push after Paul Skeens' Cy Young winning season last year.
Skeens wins again, striking out Shohei Ohtani, and the Dodgers still scoreless against Paul Skeens.
With all the new additions, including Brandon Lau and Marcel Azuna, you won't want to be anywhere else besides listening to Pirates Baseball on 99.3 and 95.7 FM, along with 1230 WBVP and 1460 WMBA. The Young Bucks are poised and ready to make a run at greatness, and Beaver County Radio is your place to tune in and listen all season long. Pirates Baseball on Beaver County Radio is being presented locally by St. Barnabas Health System, Freedom United Federal Credit Union, Balcones Moon Township Ford, Dr. C. Timothy Lip, and Beaver County Radio. Can tuning into a radio show really change your life? It can when you listen to Beaver County Radio in the 9 o'clock hour, the third Tuesday of every month. Tom Young from First Consultants in Beaver will be the special guest expert and talk about how managing and thinking about the money you already have can potentially create financial freedom for many of you. You can also watch the live video stream of the show on the WBVP WMBA Facebook page. Remember way back when you were young and the bus ride to and from school set the tone for what made your day special? School buses and vans have had a special place in the Fry family for 3 generations. At Fry Transportation, the student transportation industry is embraced as a tradition, privilege, and lifestyle. From the morning laughs on the way to school to the talk about the day on the way home. Memories you won't forget, just like the vintage football games aired each week on Beaver County Radio. Fry Transportation, caring for your children as they care for their own.
Now here is a phrase you usually don't hear from somebody who is trying to earn your business. Just leave. Hi, this is Kail from Freedom United Federal Credit Union. It's true. Freedom United does want you to leave. And do it now. Leave on vacation, or in your next vehicle, that is. Hey, maybe even do both. Get into a car and then drive it on vacation. We will provide the cash to do both. Fill up your tank, fill up your wallet, and then hit the road. It's time to enjoy a little freedom in your future. Keep in mind, we do like seeing you in our lobbies in Rochester, Settle Township, and in Harmony. So when we tell you to just leave, it's not about you. It's about your next purchase, a vacation, a car, or both. Stop in and apply today so you can just leave tomorrow. Loans are based on credit approval. Once again, this is Kail from Freedom United Federal Credit Union, member NCUA, equal housing lender.
When you're suffering from lower back and neck pain, it may be tempting to stay on the couch all day, but that's just a prescription for more pain. Although getting up and moving might be the last thing you feel like doing, physical therapy and exercise can be the best way to reduce pain. It's time to call Dale Reckless at MRS Physical Therapy in Bridgewater and Cranberry. At MRS Therapy, they believe in promoting wellness and injury prevention by designing customized treatment programs to meet each patient's specific needs. Don't let lower back pain or neck pain ruin your active days ahead. Call Dale Reckless at MRS Physical Therapy today. MRSphysicaltherapy.com or call 724-728-7550. Broadcasting to you from the Fry Transportation Group studio, Scott Tatey here, joined in studio by State Representative Roman Kozak. It is Rappin with the Reps. State Representative Kail was in a meeting and might not be able to break free, but we got some people on the phone lines here. We got about 10 minutes left. Let's take as many calls as we can. Hello, you're on with Representative Kozak. Hello.
Is that me?
Yeah, you're on. Yes, sir.
Okay, we never know on this end when you're on, when you're off. Hey, listen, the state inspection, and especially what I think is, we're getting the backfeed, headlights. Is it just me, or is there something wrong with me, or is this Department of Public Safety, Transportation, or whatever? Am I the only one that sees headlights or blinded by the light?
No, you are definitely not.
This has been going on for years, and why we can't do something with it. I mean, how could you be an engineer, sit down and work for Sylvania or any of the large lighting manufacturers and design a vehicle headlight that's aiming at the cars or vehicles coming the other side of the road from you? How could that even be possible?
No, I know we've had calls on this in the past, and I've actually met with constituents on this issue. I agree. I've been driving, especially in the evening, or if it's raining, and I would go around a bend, in rural Pennsylvania, and you get blinded and you can't see the road for a couple of seconds. So the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, they are the ones that implement the standards by which vehicles are to be manufactured. And they have different rules around every part of the vehicle. And one of those things is headlights. So at the federal level, they sort of manage that because they want to make a uniformity across the country as far as manufacturers goes. Because if manufacturers had to manufacture a different type of car or a different type of headlight or a different type of catalytic converter or whatever it is for each state, they would never manufacture the way that they do, or they would just avoid putting cars in certain states. So it is a broad national thing. I've had a friend out in Montana tell me the same exact thing. Driving around the bend in Monroe, Montana, and they get blinded and they almost go off the road. Unfortunately, it is a federal thing. There's, again, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. They're the ones that make these standards and for the vehicles and manufacturing. And they're given direction by federal law, but for whatever reason, they've somehow determined that these manufacturers, these lights, I know from a little bit of reading that I did on it before, I understood that there was the reason they wanted to make them brighter was for safety. So it's kind of like also had the opposite effect.
Well, they need their heads examined. I'm telling you what, this is for real and this is legal and legit.
Yeah.
Oh my, this is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, they're
It's
not
going on for years.
Yeah, they're not those incandescent bulbs anymore. They're those high LEDs, and man, they'll blind you.
Every morning I deal with it. Every single morning.
Yeah.
We thank you for your call.
This isn't real, is it? Hey, guys, one more thing. What about state inspection and oversized tires and loud exhaust and all that stuff?
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, there's rules in place. It's a matter of enforcement. So oversized tires, loud exhaust, things like that, there are decibel levels and things like that. But I know it's difficult for also for police to enforce those things. I think because there are already rules on the books for that stuff, it's a determination as to whether or not it's going to be enforced, especially at inspection time.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Scott, you probably have other calls, and I hope that something would get done with these issues. Thanks. Have a good day.
We appreciate you. I'm on your side on that one. Okay, let's take another phone call. Yes, you're on Beaver County Radio, Rappin with the Reps.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. Congressman, is there ever any talk or consideration done to reforming school tax, property tax? It's getting onerous for a lot of people, and I never hear much, or maybe I'm missing it. Is there any talk about maybe a little bit more in the sales tax or shifting some of that burden of the school property tax?
So I've been in the legislature for a little over a year, and I have sat through a town hall. I actually joined a couple, a fellow senator and a fellow rep on a bill that they have in order to try to shift that burden out of property taxes onto other types of taxes, because the big discussion is, how is that revenue made up? So schools rely on it, localities, municipalities rely on it for all the other services that we have. So what do we need to do in order to fix or adjust that? There are various proposals around to discuss this. One of the things that I think is most important, I've talked to Stacey Garrity about this, our current treasurer, who's also running for governor, and she mentioned, she says, we got to do something about this, particularly for seniors and people on fixed incomes, because I understand if maybe you have kids and you're paying your way through school and life, and then all of a sudden you retire, and next thing you know you're on a fixed income and property taxes keep rising. You're getting absolutely hammered every year on your retirement savings, and so there are a lot of people, including myself in Harrisburg, that want to see something get done. Just being 100% honest, there is no appetite from the eastern side of the state to see this happen.
Well, I hope that something does get done on, even if it's just the western state legislatures push because they'll want some piece of legislation done sometime.
Yeah.
And I would suggest it's also affecting young people when they buy a house now. If that's put into the price of their mortgage payment monthly, that's a detriment to younger people being able to buy a house along with a lot of other things. So I think that's a big issue that needs to be taken care of or looked at, and I hope you understand the urgency of that.
You're right, and I would just say this too. Local school boards are important. Those people are trying to do their job. I haven't met a single local school board member here in my district that is out there saying, yes, we need to absolutely raise property taxes. But I also think that we need to have some reasonable discussion on what we actually need, what are the requirements, what do we need to be paying, and we could talk about this for a long time, but this goes back to we're losing population in Pennsylvania. Our population is shrinking. Our population's aging. There's reasons for that. And a lot of this reasons is because we are not economically competitive. We're ranked 40th and over in pretty much every category for economics, for competitiveness. When people leave, that's less population. That means less revenue, which means the school districts are losing people, and they have to tax the people that are there more in order to survive and sustain themselves. There's a lot of school districts, many which probably should be merging with others. There's redundancy in the system. And so you're losing population. You don't have enough industry. If you want, the areas that they're seeing their property taxes go down are areas where there's build out, there's development, there's more of or at least maybe sustained property taxes rather than going down. You have to have growth. You can't just tax your way out of this. And we're running into these problems. This is a problem that has been going on for many years, and we're now dealing with the consequences of that. And we need to, Pennsylvania needs to get serious about economic growth and development and stop pushing policies that are making people leave and drive them out of here to places down south and other locations.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your time.
We appreciate you. We're going to take one more call. We got about 2 minutes left. Hello, you're on the radio with Rappin with the Reps. Hello, can you hear us? Hello.
Happy Thursday, gentlemen.
Hey, Charlie. We got a couple minutes. What's up?
I'm not a regulation guy. I'll make this brief. AI scares the bejesus out of me. I don't even understand it. It's being used for it's being used for good things, but it's being used for a lot of heinous things. Is there anything in the criminal justice system laws in the state of Pennsylvania to deal with these people that defraud people and whatnot? And if there isn't, I would suggest that when they're caught doing that it make it a felony, not a misdemeanor, a major felony, so there's at least some kind of concern on their part for when they go out and scam these people. I'll just hang up and you can talk.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you. Bye.
Good question. I know that we're all trying to catch up with this and learn about this. I mean, just it's very low level, but at the state level, we're passing legislation. We've done bipartisan legislation where we're criminalize the act of impersonating others. So particularly, or if you take the image of somebody, use someone else's face and put it in a video or put it in a picture to mimic or make it, because it looks real. You've seen these pictures online or these videos online, or even the voice. They've nailed the voice. It's like 100%. They could take anybody's voice and make it sound like they said something. And so that's going to be interesting for politics in general. How are we going to even know something's real or not real? That's scary. So that's something we've criminalized. When you talked about the fraud thing, I've talked to constituents who've had this happen to them utilizing AI, and this stuff is deep. Not just AI, but other means of tricking people. And the problem is a lot of these actors, the majority of them, the FBI is telling us that they are overseas actors. They're foreign actors coming out of Eastern Europe or coming out of Asia, and in order to penalize, they can track the money being moved, but once it moves overseas, it becomes an international crime. And it's like, how do you deal with, individuals are getting hit with $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 taken from them. In the grand scheme of international crime, that's really pennies to a lot of these international courts and stuff like that. And last thing I want to have is an international court try to deal with this stuff. So it's complex. Federal level's trying to do stuff about it, but you're right. We've got to keep an eye on the ball here and try to figure out ways. And unfortunately, anytime a new technology comes in, there's a lot of amazing things that happen, but there's a lot of ugliness too.
Great answers. Well, we had some really excellent phone calls today. Thank you all for that. Roman, appreciate you dropping in as always. All right.
Absolutely.
Any meetings you got coming up? Any kind of things you need to promote?
RepKozak.com or State Representative Kozak on Facebook. I'm going to have a teletown hall meeting for my district in June, so keep an eye out for that. If you're in the 14th district, you should be getting a call about that at some point. My newsletter as well has that information. So thank you, Scott.
Okay, we appreciate you.
You're listening to 99.3 FM.